Hey everybody, welcome to the Growing with Fishes podcast. I'm Steve.
I'm Marty.
I'm Michael.
And this is the Growing with Fishes podcast. We try to do it every week. We had a little bit of a summer hiatus there for the last couple of weeks. I had some traveling and we had some other things come up schedule-wise, so I apologize for that. We have a really amazing guest today, a gentleman who's done a whole lot to help a whole lot of people, both on the activist front as well as physically taking action and helping people himself. And he's got a lot to share, and we're really thankful to have him on the show. And you guys can Google him after the show. He's done a lot of different great things for the community, and I really wanted to, really am thankful he took the time to join us today. I've been doing some work down here in San Diego. There's a place called 151 Farms. They have a pretty nice little aquaponic cannabis grow down here. We've been doing some stuff with them. Hey, what's up, bud? You want to go ahead and introduce yourself since you joined us a couple of minutes late there? Oh, okay, we'll do introductions with him in a second. I've been down here doing some work with them. I actually have some video that I took today. I'm going to post up so you guys can see some video of some flower and veg stuff down here. And I'll do some video of the fish tanks and stuff. And that's been kind of fun. Did some work, went to a couple activist things down here to get I'm at 64, which is how I met Mike here. And did some talks with that stuff, so that's been good. Definitely vote no on that. We'll get into that later on. So that's pretty much what I've been up to, aside from traveling. Marty, you want to go ahead and talk about what you've been up to?
Yeah, so actually I don't remember exactly where we were last time we had a podcast, but I finished cutting down the indoor, obviously, post a couple of videos of that. And because the outdoor started flowering, so I don't have enough to cover both. I either flower indoor or out. So the outdoors, flowering along pretty good now, stacking up, just fighting the usual outdoor bugs, and plugging right along. Not really too much else going on. Taking care of business, It's that time of year. A lot of shit going on.
You want to introduce yourself there, boss?
Yeah, I'm Aquaponic Dummy. Sorry about earlier. I had audio technical difficulties. But I have a garden here. There's 6 plants in here, and I'm running AK-48 at the moment. Experiment with some hormones. So we'll see what happens. But you probably see me on Facebook on the whoever's listening in on the Aquaponic Cannabis Growing channel or group there on Facebook. This is the first time I'm on here with Marty. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Do you want to mention you had a giveaway you wanted to do today?
Oh, I was thinking about doing a giveaway here. I got some. Actually, at first I was thinking about this Hannah Instruments. This is the iron. I forget what number it is. HI something. HI 7. I got some. Actually, but instead of that, I think what I'll do is I'll wait to give that one away for one of the next podcast, possibly, or the next giveaway on your podcast. Today, I was thinking about giving away. There's a set. These are quart size, big grow, big bloom, and Tiger Bloom here from Fox Farm. And I know it's kind of weird. Aquaponic grow, what the hell? I got a bunch of liquid goods I don't like to keep on the shelves more than about 6 months. So I figured this channel is a great place to get away.
Thanks.
I didn't know how you guys wanted to handle it.
Yeah.
I'd leave that up to you guys.
I figure we give it away to somebody that's watching live and try to get more people watching live. So at the end of the show, we'll give that away.
Yeah, that reminds me I should bring up the live thing. I always forget. See if anybody's in the chat.
Yeah, I got it open, so.
Oh, that's good. Somebody remembered.
Michael, you want to go ahead and tell us about you and your story and what you've been up to lately, and just all the awesome things you've done and stuff like that with the
Yeah,
oil.
yeah. I make oil, and we met. What was it, last week?
Yep.
Down in San Diego at Balboa Park at the just kind of a reading, really, of the Prop 64 proposal that is coming up for the fall in California, and that's another legalized routine. We can get into that, but I was glad that we met, and seems like we're like-minded people here. I see these plants in the background. I love doing that. I did a fair amount of growing myself, and matter of fact, I used a lot of foxworm stuff, but I'm not in a position to win anything today because I got nothing to grow. I'm, in North County, San Diego. I'm sure that there is some growing going on around here, but not here. And so I've been trying to just fit in as much as I can. I've been back in San Diego for a year and a half, a little bit more, and I came out here really after a lot of financial issues back east in regards to bank repossessions of my home, and police raids about regarding marijuana growing, and so after all that, well, by the way, I really never got charged there, but I actually sued the cops, which is a really cool story. They're losing, but anyway, I'm trying to get some money out of them now. But anyway, come out here because really California was my home. I came out here when I was a kid. I was 16. I hitchhiked to Los Angeles with 23 bucks and a half ounce of weed, and wanted to take over the world. And I think I did take over part of the San Fernando Valley, but only for one night. And then I joined the Navy, and I came down here in San Diego. So again, I'm kind of back home. Real glad I'm here, and I came out here with the idea of helping out with oil production and anything to do with cannabis in regards to growing or any way I could fit in. But it really it's really a tough group to get in with, and especially down here in San Diego, there's a lot of politically active groups that I'm not really sure if they really agree that I talk about cannabis as being such a good medicine. They really want to get into the business end of it, which I think there's room for everybody, especially if you're helping somebody with cancer. But they seem to be more polarized towards passing legislations that are self-serving, I guess is a good way to say it, and promoting their own private agendas, and oftentimes they're camouflaged to look or sound like something that you might actually want or need. Uh, and so that I think it's been uphill, and I've only made the oil a few times. I made some today, which is kind of ironic, but I would think that I should be making oil all day long, 7 days a week, and that's not happening, and so that was a disappointment, and I've just been hanging on. I've had some people back east send me a few dollars, and some people out here help me out. I got the veterans to get me a place to live, and it's been really hard, man. I mean, I'm living on $100 a month in Southern California, if you can imagine that. I walk almost everywhere. It's crazy, man. I came from I think two houses and a couple cars to nothing, but I really believe in what I'm doing, and that's really why I continued along that course. And I really, in the big picture, I thought what comes around goes around, and somehow or another, it was just going to work out, and it has so far. It just hasn't been what I thought it was going to be, and needless to say, though, I'm happy to be here, and you know. you know, I love what I'm doing, and I love this group, especially you know, guys like yourself and Daryl Cotton down there at 151. You know, really seem to be you know, a good group.
Do you want to tell us how you got into making cannabis oil and all that?
Yeah, I could. You know, we in Michigan, 2009, we had a ballot proposal, 2008, I think, and it was to you know, legalize medical marijuana. It meant that you had to have the qualifying conditions, and that being said, you could, with this recommendation, you know, grow and possess cannabis. We could grow 12 plants and possess 2.5 ounces of finished flower at any given time. And then we also had a caregiver program attached to that that would allow, through the registration, the assignment of up to 5 patients, and these 5 patients could have 12 plants, so on and so forth. So you could grow 72 plants if you so desired, and had the patients on your you know, connected to your registry and all that. So that was all well and good. You know, I got to be honest with you. Originally, I thought of I'd smoked cannabis my whole life, and even though I had a history of cancer and HIV, I just looked at this card as really a way to avert law enforcement scrutiny. In other words, you know, I'd never been busted for weed before, and I didn't want to, so I got the card, and I started hanging around in the various groups that were forming in Michigan, and the compassion clubs and what have you, and you know, a good group of folks. They get some great smoke, and we had some good parties, and that went on for maybe almost a year until the cancer from my end came back. It reoccurred and has reoccurred, you know, pretty regularly for 30 years or more. It's closer to 40 now. Time flies, but when the cancer reoccurred and I had no more of the fancy insurance, the Blue Cross and all that, and really didn't know what to do, I kept hearing about this Rick Simpson oil, and although I wasn't a believer at the time, I considered it as my only option, and I asked one of these people at the Compassion Club to help me with it, and if they had any, I'd be willing to try it, and they could show me how to make it. I came from a coating background with solvents and resins and all that, so you know, that seemed to be pretty easy, and that's how it started. And I tried this oil, and I tried it topically, and it seemed to have an effect. And from that point, I you know, started getting some little media opportunities. I went to a raid at a dispensary, and the media personality just asked me, you know, why was I there? What was my part in this this marijuana raid? And you know, what was my story? I said, well, I'm here for my medicine, and I was really trying to bolster my buddy's business, I guess. I said, I'm here for my medicine. I've tried it on cancer, and it's worked, and you know, that's this guy needs to be protected, and he's helping me with making this oil. And so it went on to you know, this it was a big radio station. They said, well, you know, that's a cool story, Mike. I mean, we haven't heard that before. So you know, if you could even come close to proving it with any kind of doctors you know, agreeing with that, we'd run your story. So we did, and we went to the doctor's office, and you know, he told them that the cancer was 60% gone, and you know, he thought it was pretty amazing, and more work needed to be done to find out what, you know, this oil, you know, had in store for, you know, cancer and people's, you know, hopes and all that. So that's really where it started, and so I became this guy that was running around Michigan talking about this, and I just became so focused on it that I kind of walked away from my regular day job after 30 years or so, and in this paint and coatings business, and I just lost total interest in that, and started making oil one-on-one for people with cancer. They'd come to me and say, "Hey, I can't make this stuff. If you could show me or make it, you know, please do." So I did, and so I made oil for a bunch of people. I learned, like I say, how to do it from a couple of guys that were already, ahead of the game as far as, they were already making oil for people, and that's how it started. And I just, had my grow in my basement, that wasn't always ready. I would generally go out and buy a pound of real high end flour and create whatever yield I could get out of that, and then just send it to the patient, and gave them some instruction as to how to titrate it in reasonable doses and all that. So. Just a lot of growing and a lot of oil making is my background.
Now, when you make your oil, are you mostly making it from trim or bud, or do you want to talk more about the quality of the input as far as output and all
Yeah, well, I came from the high end paint business, and we had a lot of traceability and a lot of quality guidelines to work with. So I grew up in that engineered kind of environment. So making a high quality oil, fell right into my wheelhouse. But in regards to how to get a high quality oil, it's obviously going to start with high quality materials, and I would always use bud, and I would go out and buy the best I could find, an indica strain generally, and use that exclusively. If I had made oil on my end, with my product, which I did, I would put the trim in with the bud, but that was for my own use and not for a patient's use. And it evolved into using more than one strain. Two was better than one, and three was better than two, and if I could find 4 quarter pounds and an ounce of CBD towards the end was really the ideal. And I'd dry that out, and a real crispy bone dry. And we started back originally with naphtha and with hydrocarbons, but again evolved to a 190 proof alcohol. And during the winters we had real cold winters, so that was an advantage in doing extractions out in the garage where most of this work would be done, because of the the fire hazard involved. And so good in, good out, to answer your question, is how I made good oil and how I would recommend making it. And the filtration process was always key to get all the plant material out, and generally end up with almost a red looking wash, not it didn't look like it came out of a pond, or it wasn't bright green normally. And then I used a rice cooker, just old school, and I would sit out in the garage all night and run these batches, and next day I would package this stuff up. And a lot of these people were in areas that weren't supporting this medical marijuana, so I'd send it, and UPS it or whatever, and down to all over the place. I sent it to Australia, Hawaii, a lot of places down in the south, even Texas, and these people are still around, so, they started with cancer and they tried this oil, and it seemed to do them a world of good. And so that's really what's kept me motivated is, after having cancer myself, and it's such a god-awful thing to deal with, I just thought to myself that, the best thing I could do is to, turn somebody else on to this news, and to, if need be, make it for them so that they could get there. Because, a lot of folks, although easy to make is often, I've often heard about making the Simpson oils. It is easy to make, but, there's a lot of pitfalls in regards to, fire safety is the number one issue. And, people that do it indoors and don't, understand what the dangers are. These people have cancer, so they're not really gonna get all that. And if it's cold outside, they're gonna probably do it on the stove, and they're gonna burn their house down. So, for the most part, the cancer people that I had weren't big marijuana fans. They were just so desperate at the end, whether they had done chemo and surgery or whatever. And they were trying the oil as a second fiddle, or second chance, or last chance. Some of them, came to me early on. They had the idea of natural treatment, and they always did better than somebody that was part of the Western medicine protocol for any length of time. Including me. I was that guy. I did everything they sold. Chemotherapy, surgeries, you name it. I had the squamous cell carcinoma, which just really describes the shape of a cancer cell, and it could be anywhere. I had it, in my rectum, in my neck, my face, all over. So, and it comes back, and I got to battle it back down. So. I haven't, on my end, it's really crazy that I've been making oil for a few other people and not had any on my end, which, I don't have any, which is insane. And so, I'm not in the best shape, and I need to get back on that. So, that really was part of my goal when I came out here, was to, somehow get into that niche where, I could produce my own and or make for other people and all that sort of thing. So it's really I think it's crazy too, but I make it, and people come to me, and I make their oil for them, and I give them whatever I get. And I'm not making any for myself, because you can't make oil on $100 a month. It just doesn't work out. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
Well, I know a lot of people around here, they'll do it like a split. So, if somebody's donating the material and somebody else is doing the work, that you'll arrange some sort of agreement where you can at least keep some of the material and hopefully get some treatment for yourself too.
Yeah, no, I know the split thing is good, and I'd be willing to do that. These couple of people that I've helped out, that didn't really have a lot of money either, so I just, I just try to help out where I can. So making oil for a couple of days doesn't cost me much. I got nothing really better to do. I'm obviously not working professionally out here or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, if you guys know of some folks that could use some help, that would be great. Maybe we can get together, and I can do some satellite, support, come over and help somebody out or whatever. But I'm all about that, sure.
Yeah, well, definitely.
So you're
to reach out and help them, you can email us. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, I'd like to get up to Humboldt, and I will definitely be heading up there, this fall for harvest time, because I do have a guy that has got run into a little pile of money, and he wants to get an LB and make and have me make him oil. So, and you know, I'm sure that I can get a little bit of that from him. But you know, I'm really looking forward to getting up to the Triangle. I've never been there, and that, you know, will obviously be mega cool for me to finally get up there. And you know, hopefully, you know, I can meet some peeps up there, and heck, I could stay up there and make oil, whatever. But just kind of playing it by ear right now. I'm trying to get, you know, Social Security for 4 years now, and you know that they've turned me down. Um, you know, that's been really tough. As you can imagine, not being sick enough with cancer and AIDS, I don't know what else to add to that. But
Ridiculous.
yeah, it's called not taking their medicine, and if not part of that financial loop with the pharmaceutical companies and the doctors and that whole triangle of death, then you're, you know, you're really you're not in favor. You know, you're not going to do well in the system. So I've kind of done that to myself, and I've made my statements, and I refuse their medication and their treatments, and it's been pretty, deliberate, I think, on the part of, not only my doctors, but Social Security to really, not help me, anymore. I'm not their poster boy anymore. And Social Security, obviously, if you're not taking AIDS medicine, then you must be okay, or whatever. I don't know that, as these pills change shape and form, and the formulas change, and all of a sudden that one's no good and this one is, all these approved medicines that keep constantly changing. Well, I just choose to take none, and I haven't heard that their medicine would help me much anyway. So, I'm kind of in bad shape with that program.
Yeah, I can understand. You had something you were saying earlier, aquaponic dummy?
I'm sorry, man. I didn't hear you.
You were saying something earlier?
Oh, I was wondering if I heard right that Mike has nothing going on currently.
Right. Yeah, nothing going on.
And I wish I lived closer, man. I would do my best to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really crazy because all these things I've grown, and I ran a big saltwater tank. I've done a lot of the stuff that we're talking about doing, and these folks around here are how to describe it, but it's bizarre. It's all about protecting their own. It's all business. You hear no talk about oil and cancer and what it'll do. They sell shit oil out here. It's 60% effect, 60% THC. There's really no way it's going to help any super chronic condition. I think they're just putting it out there as filler, as stuff that doesn't work, and buying time for these pharmaceutical companies to get their permits and whatever. GW, is ready to unload this oil on the world, and the last thing they want is somebody like me out there. I can do it for less money. I mean, whoa. So yeah, that's really the dealio, man. It's really a very tense market, and I don't see how this Prop 64 thing to me makes it even worse. It just helps these big businessmen, the Monsantos and the George Soroses of the world thrive at our expense. It's me, a guy like me, is the one taking it on the chin with this, and all the way from the top down. And I don't mind competition. We ought to, all be able to do this or make our own if we so choose. I mean, the craft beer people do it, but whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's my thought on that.
For those that don't know, GW Pharma is a big pharmaceutical company. They're the only ones that are working with the federal government right now on cannabis oil production and other cannabis products. They're the only company with a DEA exemption to import cannabis and high THC hemp or high CBD hemp into the country right now. I think from Spain or Great Britain, I forget which one of the two, where it's being grown right now.
I think it's in England someplace.
Yeah, in England. And so they're kind of like the biggest, they are the Monsanto of weed right now. And they have the potential to completely jack up the whole market. So,
yeah, well, GW, is really Merck, and Merck is it. They're the General Motors of the pharmaceutical industry. They're it. They're the number one. So, this little GW house sounds that's no big deal, but they're sharks, and they've got these separate businesses set up. And if you look at their website, for example, they talk of nothing but oncology-based products. They take a little bit about other things, but by and large, it's really cancer. That's what they're after. And they're going to do their extractions using hexane. That's what they use, and Rotovap, which is all stuff we can get here. We don't need to be a big pharmaceutical company to make this kind of product. And using that kind of equipment, of course, draws it into a very safe arena in regards to running a vacuum and low temperatures and low or no flash points to be worried about in a closed loop system. All the things you want to think about when you're running a process like this. So, but yeah, it's big business, and that's what these proposals are all designed to bring is more business to them. And if we benefit, fine. If not, fine. That's okay. So cancer is big business. I think that the last thing any of these companies want to do is realistically bring this to the public view. And that's what these marijuana people don't like about me is I start saying it on Fox News, or at least I have, and they just run for cover. I mean, it's like it changes public opinion, and when it changes public opinion, all of a sudden it makes marijuana into something that's not bad, it's good. It can help Uncle Bill with his cancer, Aunt Jenny with her condition, and all of a sudden you're the best thing going. And and when you start ruffling these feathers, all of a sudden these private deals start to break down. And what these guys want to do is sell recreational marijuana, which I do too. I think it's the best thing going. It replaces booze. What's wrong with that? But once these activists get wind of this kind of direction, they tend to turn it down. I've done a lot of radio shows back east, even one here in California. I think we spent 2 minutes talking about cancer, and the rest of the show talking about other things. Which, I mean, I don't know how that even makes sense to me. That somebody's coming up to the plate and saying that there's some chance that this could be helpful. It would really get my attention, and and it did. But that's really what's going on. It's really not. It's evil. I think. It's upsetting to me.
Yeah, I think definitely a cash grab on more than one front. I think, you not only do you have like the significant amount of medications and all of that stuff, but everything that's hidden in between as well. You have all of the fraud which they get away with because of the volume that they have, and without the volume of drugs being pushed, it makes it harder to commit fraud on larger scale. So I think that on multiple fronts we get screwed in that respect, and then it all starts with taking away our ability to make our own medicine, and literally putting us in jail for for doing it, and ruining people's lives for years and years and years just for trying to treat something that they never wanted in the first place. It's just ridiculous.
Right. Well, what we
So,
got here, at least in California, is the Supreme Court a year and a half ago or so, validated the idea that this oil is medicine. So that's on one end, and then you got Prop 215, this 20-year-old marijuana law that created the idea of making the medicine, but somewhere along the line, the San Diego County Sheriff, for example, would raid you for making oil and give you 7 years in prison because you're a risk to public safety. And I can tell you what, man, I spent a lot of years in the paint business, and I saw a lot of unsafe practices. As a matter of fact, I was an expert witness in fires and fire-related issues in big factories, and this is there is some risk in it, but if approached right, I've never burned anything down making oil, and I've done it hundreds of times. Not to say that you couldn't, but those issues are all fire marshal issues, and if the fire marshal comes out to a scene and sees something out of whack, he calls the cops. That's how that works. He calls an arson or he calls an unsafe practice, and that's when the cops come. But when you send the hazmat team with the cops, and who knows who else is going to show up, the DEA and whatever. This is not normal protocol for any other industry but ours. So that's discrimination, and that's putting the cart before the horse. It's not even. It doesn't even make sense that a cop could look at a piece of equipment or an industrial process and tell you it was safe or it wasn't. And they're not capable of doing that. So why would we put that in their hands and then at risk of 7 years in prison for this? So here's a situation: you can have the oil and it's legitimate, but you can't make it. So if you can't make it, it means you can't have it. That's really what it means.
Right.
Like the tax, the tax stamp in 1937, when they finally, when Congress, made marijuana illegal, there was some little, back door to it. Well, if you get the tax stamp, you could still do it. Well, guess what you couldn't get? You couldn't get the tax stamp, So it's just a round robin. Circle talk is really what it is. So these are things that need to be ironed out. And again, I look at that really, as cronyism, and I look at the police as usual, protecting at the street level these pharmaceutical companies, because these are the people that want to bring oil to you. But it's not going to be 35 or 50 bucks a gram. It's going to be 1,800 a gram. It's going to fill in a market that they've already got. They're selling you $40,000 of chemotherapy a week. What do you think the oil is going to cost? So the only way they're going to do that is to get an exclusive monopoly on providing the oil, and once they got that, then they can turn it into the war on drugs and whatever that has, been over the years, that we've dealt with. But, by and large, it's really, you know, it's a counterfeit program, and you know, it should be avoided.
You're saying that the mass-produced oils is much lower quality. Do you want to talk about, like, I guess, comparison in quality with the oils and stuff like that at all?
Well, I think GW could make some really good oil. I'd be surprised if they couldn't. It's not that hard to do. I think there's a lot of really low quality oil out there. I mean, if you listen to people like Rick Simpson, I mean, that's all he'll say is, you know what, make your own. The only way through this is to cover your own ass. And, you know, by and large, that's where I have fit in because, you know, you know, whether or not, you know, these people could make the oil, most of them couldn't. That's why they, you know, they got a hold of me. But I think there's a, you know, mostly low quality oil out there. You know, here in San Diego, you know, there's oil. You know, it's not even made with solvent. It's, you know, made with CO2, which, you know, is not going to give you all the components of the plant, you know, chemistry that you need. I mean, I mentioned using 2 or 3 or 4 kinds of bud, and you know, when you use trim material and, you know, run CO2 and make a, you know, a product that looks like oil and gets you high. I mean, if you put it on a nail and smoke it, you know, it will certainly get high. You'll certainly get high off of it, but it just doesn't have the magic that, you know, this full-bodied, full extract of oil, you know, can produce, and all the magic chemicals that are in that. You know, I don't even know what they are. You know, it's like some of the cancers I work on. You know, I couldn't even pronounce them. I just know they got it, and the oil will help them. And you know, that's as simple as that. And then when you see the you know, the cancer actually go in reverse, and then, you know, and essentially disappear the same way it showed up. That's incredible. But yeah, I have no doubt that the pharmaceutical companies will make some beautiful oil. I mean, you know, with the equipment they've got, you know, how couldn't you? But commercially in these stores, you know, there's anything from you know, hemp-based compounds used as you know, base materials, which, I mean, you might as well rub sand on skin cancer for that. I mean, that would have no effect whatsoever. All the way up to these, you know, I see oil up about 60% THC here in Southern California, and that's it. They just hit a wall at that level. And I mean, honestly, at some level, I do think that they're just blanks out there. You know, people would think, okay, I'm going to try it, and it doesn't work, and they end up dying or going back to the hospital for some treatment and then dying. You know, it gives us a bad track record, if nothing else, to not have the high quality oil out there, you know, for these people to try. Quite frankly, I regularly put pictures on Facebook of what real oil looks like. And the reason I do that is because people don't know what it is. I mean, you could sell them a tube of grease, you know, and that's oil. I mean, they don't know. So, you know, unless they got some reference point, you know, visual reference or what have you, there's no way of knowing. And, you know, most of these, you know, these storefront type people, they don't know. I mean, they got the price in their head, and you walk in and you ask for Simpson oil, well, hey, we got it, you know. It's funny because you always see it in 1 gram tubes, you know, and, you know, medicine would never really come in 1 gram tubes. It would come in 10 gram tubes. And that tells you that, you know, the whole mindset there is just all about getting high, you know, because if it wasn't, you know, you would have, you know, a whole 60 or 80 grams of oil available as a cancer kit, you know, for this person, so that you know, they could buy that, or, you know, make a donation for that, or whatever they're doing to get it, and have that quantity of oil to take home and to use as they see fit, as fast as possible, to treat their condition. Nobody's going to go to the store and buy 1 gram of Simpson oil at a time.
Right.
I mean, that's silly.
Because I mean, just for the people that don't know, or that are maybe listening, just because you would consume it so quickly, but once you got up to a full dosage, that you'd be going like multiple times a day if you were actually using it in an effective dosage, and that's what we tried to talk about here when they implemented the restrictions on the amount that you can have in packaging. They did that here in Oregon too, where now you can only have a certain number of milligrams per package, and it makes everybody's medicine more expensive, even for the people that do have to go to the dispensary. Like, let's say somebody like yourself who has cancer and wants to come here in order to treat it. When you go to the dispensary, even if you went in to the store and you had cash in hand and were ready to buy it, now because of the packaging restrictions, you're probably going to spend close to 10 times as much on the same milligrams of medication, because they had to package it essentially 10 times more than they did before, which increases all of their costs, which increases your costs to be able to do it. Whereas buying 1 package of medication, you bought 10 packages of medication. Now, technically they made more money, and for really no reason. There's no point in having it in that small of dosages. And so unfortunately they didn't listen. And in order to protect the children, we now have that here in Oregon, where they're restricted on the number of milligrams that you can have per package, even for medication, regardless. Basically any extract, any edible, everything is limited to 10 milligrams, which is just ridiculous.
And that's something else that's in Amendment 64 is the 10 milligram restriction per dose. They want to have no more than 10 milligrams per dose, and was it 10 doses per package? So you're telling me you're going to limit to 100 milligrams? How on earth are you going to limit a dab, wax or shatter or rosin, so that you can't? The 10 milligram dosage of that would be like, I'm going to have to get an X-Acto knife out and a microscope. You know what I mean? Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And no, so let's take that into context. Now, if you're a cancer patient who needs to take 1 to 3 grams of oil a day, how on earth are you going to get a 10 milligram dosage like that? You're like Marty was saying, you're buying like cases of stuff at that point, when before you could buy that in 1 or 2 packages, or just what you could fit in a brown paper bag, and for no other reason than bullshit ass packaging and the whole making things easier or harder for kids, easier to keep out of kids' hands, or harder for them to buy, or whatever. And it's ridiculous, we don't do this with 151 rum or Everclear or 97% gin. Does that have to be in a different thing? No. Does all liquor have to be limited to 5%? No. Okay, so why are we having this conversation? Or if I need to get a prescription filled at the drugstore, can I get a 1,000 pill prescription if that's what it says?
That's the reason we have a dispensary to start with. Like we already went through this discussion when we decided to have dispensaries. Like that was the entire point.
When I met with my doctor and he told me how much I needed and how much my dose was, and then when they verified that at the point of sale with the dispensary, who then again gave me a recommended dosage. Again, okay, so I've been through all that. Why the hell do you need to then limit me again?
But feel free to get your script for Vicodin and drive over to the pharmacy and have them dispense them in handy little packages, as many as you need for the next 6 months, and you'll be fine.
You could totally be on Vicodin, Abilify, like Risperdal for your like psychosis, and get sleeping pills. So you're driving around in the morning like complete out. All that, get pulled over, not get a DUI.
Like the complete kill yourself kit. Like
that's pretty much everything you need to kill. And I've seen all of those.
Yeah, but let's protect the children from cannabis, people. 10 milligrams. That's the important part.
Well, I think that's, my personal thought is, again, it's a way to restrict, the quantity that you can have. And, I suggest 1,000 milligrams a day to people, in this oil, up to 1 gram or more a day. And, you know, I've heard some of these restrictions. You know, you can only process 1 ounce of flower material at a time to make an extraction. Well, I told you I do a pound. You know, if I could do a pound and a half or two, I would. I mean, the only thing slowing me down is the money. You know, and so it's never less. It's more. And you know, I've never had a situation where, you know, this became addictive in any way for anybody that was taking it. As a matter of fact, I got people off of opiates with it, and I've never got a call in the middle of the night. Hey man, I need more of that oil. Or any of that ever. And you know, I'll tell you a little story. We had a girl come to us with you know, some god awful brain cancer. This was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 4 or 5. I don't know. But regardless, she lived in Michigan and had this spider cancer in the brain, which meant that there was no single mass, there was no tumor that, you know, that could really, it was inoperable in its design, that it just went all the way through her brain. And so we got her on an oil regimen, and we actually even had the University of Michigan medical people watching her. And for a while, she was actually telling them that she was doing the chemotherapy pill, whatever they sent her home with. And, you know, they were getting really excited about the results. And at the end of the day, it turned out to be cannabis. And, you know, she was eventually cleared from that. And they, you know, had stated that, you know, she was cancer free. And you know, I'll go you one step further, that when she took her driver's ed test, when she was you know, a year later or whatever, she was still taking 1.5 grams a day of this oil, and kid weighed about 100 pounds, maybe less. And from a practical standpoint, she was taking her state exam for her first driver's license. So, I mean, she didn't know how to drive, and yet, you know, she was able to pull the wool over the auditor's eyes and pass her driver's ed test, and cure cancer. And, you know, here was a kid that, you know, like I say, 95 pounds worth, and you'd think that she would in some way be you know, affected by this. And you know, she wasn't. You get used to it. And you know, it's kind of it's really just a joke. But you know, she passed the driver's ed test, and was on, you know, 1,500 milligrams. So, you know, that's a real world example that I won't forget. And you know, it's
I think
cool.
a lot of people don't realize how much different tolerance levels are when you're doing something besides just vaping or smoking or rolling joints, or, you know, like, it's not, you know, not the same experience, I guess, in terms of tolerance, and you can build up much faster. And a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of documentation on RSO and building it up to very high milligrams so that you're not, you know, like freaking out, obviously. But you start out very small and build up to very large doses without you know, having, I guess, the inability to function.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So maybe you could talk a little bit about how you're making your oil right now for treatment. Like, let's say you had some, you want to just give like a quick process of how you make your medicine for your treatment.
Well, you know, generally I start with dried flour, and then I crush it up almost to a rolling consistency. You know, it's broken down, a lot of surface area, but, you know, not overly fine. You know, I don't want powder as much as I want, you know, a good flaky base. And so I'll take whatever flour material that might be, and wash it with a frozen 190 proof alcohols. I normally get that out of Oregon, Allchem. They'll ship that product, and they have about 5 different varieties of organic 190 proof grain alcohol. And some people have preferences. A lot of times I'll use the corn, this like the regular booze stuff. And so I do a really quick and cold wash. Both the flour material and the alcohol are as cold as I can get them. Ideally, I'd like to work in a walk-in freezer, as cold as I can get it. And I mean, we can't freeze alcohol, in the kind of ranges that our equipment works. So, as cold as you can. And I do a quick 3-minute wash, and I get the plant material out of the wash as quick as I can. And historically, I've always used 5-gallon containers, a stainless steel can with a large, like a filter bag type process. So, the flow rate is really high, and you're not eating up your 3 minutes by, dripping or pouring or fooling around with that. It's quick. And actually, what if I'm working out of a 5, I'll have a paint strainer with an elastic, a garter top, an elastic top, and stretch that into a 5-gallon bucket, drop everything in there, freeze it. And when I drop the alcohol in, as fast as I can, I'll give it a 3-minute soak and a gentle stir with, something like a pasta spoon or this sort of thing, and just kind of move it around. And I pull that big tea bag right out, and then we'll hold it over the can until it stops dripping. And from that point, I'll filter that washout right away with those bag filters. And I don't know if you guys know paint or boxing paint. You're pouring one 5-gallon can right into another one and mixing it back and forth. That's basically what I'm doing. And I'm moving this filter screen from side to side, and I can shake the stuff right off the screen. It comes off really easy. And so I box this back and forth about 6 times and end up with this wash that looks, pretty much like gasoline. And then from that point, I have had the opportunity to be part of the Rotovap type arrangements. I just watched and I sat in on a few of those, which is really cool. But by and large, I got a modified rice cooker that I brought out here from Detroit, and I use that and boil the product down. Try to keep the liquid level up high as I can so that it doesn't develop a dirt line, and you can just keep filling up the pot, all day, all night, whatever, and eventually you end up with the oil at the bottom of the rice cooker, and just got to time it right and unplug the rice cooker. And then from that point, actually, I'm a big fan of heat gun treatment to the oil, and to drive out. There's a couple drops of water sometimes I'll put in there right before I unplug it, but try to steam some of that solvent out. Water and solvent love each other, and that steam that blows out of there at the end can really clean it up nice. But to finish the product, I'll finish it with like a Milwaukee heat gun. I go back to my paint booth and oven days where, to dry paint, you need air changes and heat, so it's really the air change that helps you drive the solvent out, and at least for me. And so I drive that rest of that solvent out, and I just get a certain look that, you know, the little paisley spots on the top of the oil finally disappear, and it goes real clear, and it's, you know, just an eyeball type thing. And from that point, I package it up in the oral syringe, and off it goes. You know, the guys are normally waiting, you know, right there. I've had people drive up, you know, 1,200 miles to sit in my driveway while I made it. You know, I mean, they really wanted to get this cancer under control, you know, and whatever. But, you know,
Well,
it's a
yeah,
little bit of, you
I
know,
understand that.
some funny stories.
That's cool. Well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And, you know, the one lady, I said, you know, I don't know how many unlawful states you got to drive through to get home, but you know, I could FedEx this stuff to you and you'll get it tomorrow. And she would have no part of it. She was going to race 90 miles an hour all the way down to wherever she went, and cure her oil and whatever. She used to be a truck driver, I guess. But anyway, she's still alive. And, you know, most of these people I've helped are, you know, I still hear of them, or sometimes I see them online and I think, wow, that really worked out good. And, you know, because their option was, you know, to not be alive. So this was a major coup in, you know, the survivability of cancer and other things. You know, the guy I was working on today, he's got Parkinson's, and I made him a THCA oil. It's unactivated, and the whole extraction was done pretty much the same way, except there's no rice cooker. You know, you just put it in a glass pan with a fair amount of surface area, and 3 days later the alcohol dries out, and you really got to turn that into a tincture because you know, to get the oil off the bottom of the pan, you put in something else to do that, which, you know, in this case was coconut oil and olive oil, like 3/4 olive oil with, you know, the coconut base for viscosity control. So it's a little beefier in the dropper, you know, when you do the little undertongue application. And he's had good luck with this THCA oil with some cannabis he grew out in the hills of San Diego someplace, and you know, it came out red Bible oil. That's what I always look at, you know, is what it looks like, and it
Right.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And so I left him with about 8 ounces of this stuff, and you know, he was a real happy camper. So yeah, it's you know, it's interesting to do it. It's you know, it's a fairly long process that has, you know, certain steps that have to be taken, and there's long gaps of you know, just, you know, low
Because you can't heat it up, right? Because once you heat it up, then it's going to activate it. So
oh yeah, yeah, when you're doing it in the rice cooker or any heat, you know, that's going to activate it and you know, decarboxylate the product. That one little molecule of oxygen will come off pretty easily, and even over time, this guy is under the understanding that, you know, in 3 or 4 months, this THCA oil will start to, you know, turn into a Delta 9 type, you know, material. And then the guy, you know, he smokes. You know, not sure really why he's so stuck on this, but it's just something that he, you know, he wanted. And you know, I'm no expert. You know, if somebody you know, understands what they want, and I don't see anything, you know, risky with it, or, you know, to that level, you know, I'm all for it. So it was just a different way of doing it. But that was today's. I was at the end of about. I started at Sunday, and this is Thursday, so it took 3 or 4 days to get that done because of that long dwell time to get it, you know, flashed off.
was there a particular reason why you wanted to do THA? Like, did he not want it activated for some sort of medical reason, or because he didn't want to get high?
Well, yeah, I think he knows people that don't want to get high, and they may
Right.
be benefiting from his effort. That's my guess, because he smokes. You know, I don't understand it exactly, but um, originally he came to me with a protocol on how to, quote unquote, make oil, and it was a page after page after page. I read it all. I said, well, this is all good, and we could do this, but there's a lot of steps in here that, really don't make sense to me. And then there's other steps in here that would actually, take away from the inherent quality that, we can get by doing it quicker and, more efficiently. So I kind of modified his original plan. He had it all printed out. He got it from somebody, and this was going to be the way to make his oil. And we settled for his oil and my my version of making it. And but it was really driven by him, and that's what he wanted, and so that's what I made.
Cool.
When you've done have you done CBD ratio? Worked on the CBD THC ratio stuff, and then I guess when you did you do it with short path distillation, or did you do it in a different method?
I would use short path, and I really haven't. We didn't have any CBD strains to speak of, at least when I started this, and our direction was really, as far as cancer, was not to use it, was not to use CBD, and I see a lot of people talking about that 1-to-1 ratio, and that's all well and good to me. I mean, I wouldn't take any less of the THC oil, and if I was going to go with 1-to-1, then I would just add the CBD component to it. So if they were taking 1 gram, that's me, that's what I would tell you. If you were taking 1 gram of high THC oil a day, then I would say then you should take another gram of CBD oil, or we can formulate it into one, and that's really just a matter of blending, and you could take 2 capsules a day, or 6 instead of 3, or whatever it turns out to be. But I guess I'm just old school. I just normally think of high THC oils for cancer. Now, some of these other things, if epilepsy, there's nothing but CBD. That's all I think of. But I've just not had enough access to it to really get involved. I'll get an ounce of CBD product and throw it into my blend of a couple, 2 or 3 different indicas, and at the end of the day, I'm really looking for maybe 5% CBD and 90% THC. What I would consider, the best oil for cancer. But, I base that on, my own feelings. I don't have any research to really support that.
Well, you're not dead.
Yeah, I was going to say
That counts for something. I mean, right?
I know.
A lot, and a lot of people helped survive a lot, so you must be onto something, right?
Yeah, I mean, it works, so I'm, really, I believe in things that work, and, I've tried a lot of stuff in industrial applications, and, a lot of things that, make sense, but they didn't always work out, and we'd always be trying different things with robots and, whatever, and some of these ideas just never really, worked out. And when it comes to cancer and these individual lives, I really tend to have a narrow perspective on, what's suitable and, what these people need. And, if it is CBD, like I say, then, to me, it becomes a more expensive, treatment, because there's that secondary material 1-to-1. That means I'm going to start with my 1 gram, my 1,000 milligrams, and then if you want to go 1-to-1, then it's 2,000. And the other CBD materials has to come from somewhere. I don't think anybody's given that away either. So if that's what somebody wanted, I would do it. But I would definitely use the short path method. That would definitely be the smart thing to do. I haven't owned any equipment myself. I would, but that would be my direction for sure.
Do you have any other anything else, I guess, you want to talk about in regards to oil or?
Any of our live viewers, I see a couple of people in chat. If you guys have any questions about oil he's talking about, feel free to chime in on chat. How about aquaponic Dumay over there? You're awfully quiet. What are you up to?
Actually, I'm really having a hard time hearing you guys. I think I picked a bad location to shoot here.
It looks nice, though. I see your plant back there.
Yeah, Marty and I each did that one time, and then we realized the grow room is like a horrible place as far as audio is concerned. Between like the ballasts buzzing and just everything makes noise.
But it looks so nice.
It does. It looks great.
Actually, I've been, like I said, I'm trying. I don't know if you guys have ever worked with any hormones or synthetic hormones.
Yep.
But I sprayed 6BA. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that.
Yep.
Comes in a little baggie like this right here. It looks like something else, but it dissolves in acid or a paste.
It's plant coke, man.
I'm sorry?
It's plant coke, man.
Yeah. No, I ended up spraying it on these plants, and they didn't look like they like it at all. But this whole room has been sprayed down, so I wanted to do a test to see how it would affect the fish. I don't know. It's not affecting bugs. I mean, as you can see here, I post on my my YouTube channel there where I'm using praying mantis. You can see here one of the eggs that hasn't hatched yet. I don't know if you can see it on it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Your fish want you to call them Caitlin now that you use the hormones?
What's that?
Your fish wants you to call them Caitlin now that you use the hormones?
They haven't really. It hasn't really affected the fish at all, which I'm really happy about. I mean, I just did a foliar spray, so it's now I was kind of worried about it at first, but now I'm more worried about my plants than anything else.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
They don't look like they agree with it altogether.
No. Well, it was pretty basic spray that I put on them. So it was Blue Labs pH Up is what I ended up using. So potassium
Hydroxide?
hydroxide.
Yep.
Potassium hydroxide. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
What is it supposed to do? Is it supposed to?
It's Sidon, or does that say that right? There's 5 hormones that plants are affected by: ethylene, auxin, chitocidin. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, and the phytocyanin, and what the hell's the other one? I know what you're talking about.
We'll call it.
I don't. Yeah, it is another. One more. And I ended up ordering a bunch of it. This year is. I ended up getting off eBay. This is NAA, which is synthetic oxygen, and gibberellic acid, which is more of a if you're planning on seeding out your plant, or if you need help with rooting or germinating seed, gibberellic acid can help. And then, like I said, I'm working with kind of cited here, or cytokinin. Cytokinin? That's it.
Cytokinins.
So yeah, I decided to see what it can do, and I don't like it so far, but we'll see.
I've done some work with organically isolated phytocyanin and a couple of other anthocyanin isolates, and they all kick ass. But if you overdose them, or especially if they aren't used to them in the foliar, they definitely stress out.
We can see.
I'm fine. I've never used any hormones before, other than like Clonex, something like that. So this is all new to me. But I figured it's a learning experience, and I mean, I have plenty of medicine on my own already. So this whole grow right here is simply testing. If I lose them all, it's not really a big deal.
That's cool.
For those of you who don't know,
you can see over here.
Go ahead.
I don't know if you guys have ever grown any pineapple, but this here's pineapple, an aquaponic pineapple. We'll see what happens. You can see it kind of rooting here.
Yeah, my kids saw a YouTube video about one, and now they want to do a pineapple. What do they call it? A pineapple in a jar or something like that. They taught at school, I think, or one of their friends or something. So they love to stuff shit in the aquaponic grow beds all the time. Like, I have tons of shit in there now. I have probably 12 too many tomato plants, and just all kinds of. I have the raspberry is the raspberry plant's almost taken over the whole front grow. It's what do we have in there? We have spinach, we have peas, we have a whole section that my son decided just needed to have green beans in it. So the whole right side is now just getting overgrown with green beans, and so that's the next thing they want to shove in there is a pineapple and do that. Oh, Dad, look what we found. So we put all kinds of, we put in leeks, we put in green onions that we just buy from the store. Basically anything that still has roots, they're like, let's put it in. So that's been fun. I've gotten aided a couple of times that way. You got to be careful at the growers market. I've gotten a couple of insect infections.
You have in there, Marty.
What's that?
You say you have onions growing?
Yeah, green onions. Yep, lots of them.
Be careful.
You find fish at all?
What?
Do your onions affect any of your fish?
I don't think so. I didn't ask them though. I don't know. I don't think so. Why do you think they would?
I was thinking of the acidity of them.
Oh, I don't know. I never thought about it, I guess. But they seem to do fine. I've grown green onions in pretty much every system I've had for about the last 4.5 years now. So
the only plant to my knowledge that's dangerous to grow in the system like that is yucca.
Right.
Is who?
Yucca. Yucca, Y-U-C-C-A. Well, they also call it, what do they call it in Jamaica? Begins with a C. Cassava. So,
I'll have to look it up.
yeah, that has saponins in it, I think it's called. Saponins. And the saponins are super, super fish toxic, super fish toxic, even in microdoses. So. Same thing with yucca extract. If you're using soil amendments or even a bloom boost or anything like that, or some silica additives I'm noticing lately I think I've seen 2 silica additives in California that had yucca extract in it, and mycorrhizae boosters can sometimes have yucca in it. There's all things you got to be careful with fish. You definitely nuke your fish with the yucca extract. In fact, in California and the West Coast, the Native Americans used to make a concentrate out of the juice when they'd press it to make flour, and they would use the concentrate, they'd throw it in the river, and they'd get all the dead salmon that would float to the surface. They'd actually use it as a fishing method. So that's how well it works in small doses. If you can use it in a river, it's going to kill your closed loop system pretty quickly. Just to give you an idea on dosage. So.
Yeah, it makes sense. Obviously, in a river, that's
Way higher dosage.
yeah, it's a little different.
So that's why it's duck extract's a one to watch out for. But yeah, it's interesting to see you working with the hormones and stuff and testing it out. For those that don't know, aquaponic dummy does a way different method than pretty much anybody else that does aquaponic growing. He does a aeroponic root method with pretty much sprinkler heads to keep from getting clogged, which is pretty dope. And he has some great videos on his channel. Definitely go check it out if you're looking to learn more on that stuff. And,
So I'm still working.
yeah, here, if you're there, why don't you show me the video real quick of it, or a little display of it.
I don't know if I can get inside here.
What's a sweet shirt?
Now I'm going to run out of power.
Don't drop your phone.
I actually shut off. I had to shut off all the pumps because they were pretty loud. I got individual shutoffs for every row.
Nice.
Is that irrigation pipe?
Say what?
Is that like spaghetti irrigation pipe? Is that what that is? Like a large scale irrigation?
PEX.
Ah,
I use PEX, like pressurized pipe for your house.
right.
And I mean, all the crimping rings. I have all the tools already, so it worked out pretty well.
Hey, I'm a big fan of using what you got.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Well, right now, the whole room is this particular room is my own personal garden. I'm not going into the other rooms. I didn't want to put other people's medicine on video.
Right.
So, and it's basically all under construction anyway. So it's we'll get there eventually. Eventually, I'll do a full walkthrough, and you'll be able to see everything.
Right on. Now, you're in Maine, is that right? Where you live?
Maine, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Maine allows 6 flowering plants per patient and 12 vegging plants per patient. And anything under 12 inches by 12 inches is considered seedling, even if it's a clone. And you can have unlimited. So that's basically the laws here. You can, as a caregiver, you can have up to, like Mike was saying there, you can have up to 5 patients, very similar. So you can have up to, you can have, well, in one building, right now, okay, it's kind of confusing. It's a kind of gray area in Maine, where they really haven't figured out exact laws right yet. But from what I understand, you can have an unlimited number of caregivers in one location as long as they live in the same building. But you can't have more than one caregiver in one location.
Right, that's pretty similar to here in Oregon now too. The way that it's set up, so we can have 6 flowering. And our definition used to be anything less than 12 inches was the only thing that was considered an immature plant. But recently they did change it, so now if it's not in flower, then it's not in flower, basically, is what it comes down to. So you can have plants over a foot tall that aren't in flower. So that really makes a big difference. And you can have an unlimited number of them. So that definitely helps out a lot in terms of, just production and selection, and for people that grow outdoors to be able to get them as large as possible before they go out. A lot of people like to, veg a number of plants over the winter time and get them as big as possible, and then put them outside and let them grow full season outside, and they get these big, like 20-footers. And so that really helps them be able to, I guess, be able to be more productive in the same space because they have less regulation. Now, there are other things that they passed at the same time, which sort of sucked. for the medical part of it. But that was the same at the same time that they put in all of this or started all the stuff about the limiting of dosages and edibles like we talked about before. So it wasn't all great, but we did get some stuff, and that was one thing. That's probably the only like incredibly useful thing I think that we got out of the last set of legislation that went through, was that pretty much everything else was more regulation on top of it. Like now we have to report on every seed we pop and every clone we have, and every month we have to report, like, it's only if you're growing for somebody else. So like I don't have to report on my own plants, but like you have rooms for other patients, you would have to report every month in their reporting system, how big the plants are, or if you harvest it, what the flower is and where it goes, and basically account for every aspect of the plant throughout its entire life and where it goes from beginning to end. So it's very cumbersome now, as opposed to like last year where my buddy got kicked off of his grow spot, and I said, oh hey, I've got room in my backyard, let's just slap your 6 plants out back, you can grow them out there and you can still have some medicine because you didn't have a spot to grow. Well, now even if I wanted to do that for my buddy, that means once a month I have to, somebody's got to go out there and measure all of his plants and do all of his stuff to be able just to have somebody else's plants just on my property. So, it definitely puts a lot of people in a tough spot to be able to, people that don't have the place to grow their own medicine, that, a friend was just helping them out. Now that it puts that grower in a spot to where somebody's going to have to do the work, and they also raised all the rates. So now everything is $200 more. And even the grower, if I have somebody on my property growing, like that same buddy, if he wanted to grow here again, it would cost me an extra $200 a year just to have him to be able to grow there, which doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're growing for, say, 5 patients, then that's $1,000. And, most of the time growers aren't working off of huge margins unless they're, I guess greedy to start with. But for those people that were working on small margins, they just get smaller and smaller, and the people that are reasonable get pushed out of the market, and patients get less quality, and it definitely becomes an issue. So it's here. Sorry, go ahead.
Guys, I hate to cut it off, but I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know how to handle
that today, being a little bit less talkative than usual.
I know. So I didn't know how you guys wanted to handle it, but it's 10:46 where I am right now, and I have to head upstairs.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want to pick somebody from chat?
I think or no.
Phone here, I can't see anything.
All right, we'll give it away. It's actually a YouTuber in here we've talked to about a lot of them. We'll give it to him. His name is Silverarm32. He's a guy who tunes in a lot, and he's got a great channel. Go check him out on YouTube. He's actually has probably, I think, the oldest aquaponic cannabis channel that's dedicated to aquaponic cannabis and aquaponic cannabis growing on the internet that I'm aware of. If somebody else knows of an older one, please let me know, but I think he is the oldest. He is one from...
When I started looking, he was the only one I could find, other than like some blog post from a dude in the 90s that was like injecting the roots with hormones and shit. It was weird. You've seen that?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so thanks guys for tuning in. Check out my my channel, AP Meds, Aquaponic Cannabis Growers Group. I think you can find all of us but Mike in there. Hopefully we can get him in there also. And yeah, so check out the videos. I haven't filmed much of my outdoor because it's still sort of in limbo with the county. I didn't talk about that much tonight, but we'll get into that next time. But I can't take any videos of it right now, so it's in limbo. But expanding on the indoor. That'll be twice as big, so tune in for that. And yeah, thanks, guys. It was good to get online with you, Aquaponic Dummy. I hadn't been on with you yet.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for staying up late over
Every
there.
chance
It's only 8 o'clock here, man. I'm gonna go watch some TV. It's West
totally
Coast time for the rest of us, man.
Totally forgot that was the episode that Marty wasn't able to make it. That we like scrambled last minute and got some really good guests that night. So, Mike, do you want to go ahead and plug anything that you got? You want to mention, or groups, or how people can reach out to you and stuff?
Yeah, you just hit me on Facebook and Michael McShane, and we'll go from there. I don't really, I've been around to see all these groups here locally, and they're really, I'll be honest with you, they're just not my kind of people, and I just haven't really found anything here that I like. So I'm just kind of a loner right now, and let me know if you'd like to do more on this end as far as your production. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and like I say, I'm always on Facebook, and I'm blasting somebody that's trying to grab our marijuana on a regular basis. So yeah, that's what I do.
Keep the energy up. It's meet you.
Do you want to tell us about your shop and plug your shop there, bud? Since
Van Buren Hydroponics. Van Buren Hydroponics in Van Buren, Maine. You can stop by. What we do is we price match reputable online retailers, so there's nothing cheaper. Yeah, anytime, anything you need for all your aquaponic and growing needs, stop by and see us.
That's the place that has the weed growing in the window, right?
Yeah. Read that, huh? Yeah, the city came down on me pretty hard.
Stories for another time. Inside joke.
Yeah. So, and y'all can reach me at potentponics.com or potentponics on Gmail, or Twitter or Facebook or fucking anything else. And yeah, I'll be in California. If anybody else actually stopped by and saw Fish Ganja guys grow, if you guys are familiar with Fish Ganja guy on our YouTube here over on Dude Grows, if anybody else is out in Cali and wants to hang out, I'll be going back and forth in the state for the next couple of weeks. So between different jobs. So if you guys are looking or want to hang out, shoot me a message and I'll come by and we'll hang out.
Cool.
Thanks everyone for watching. We'll put some links and stuff in the channel if you guys have any questions. And we'll be back to a normal schedule now. Sorry about the delay. And we might even have an extra episode or two. I got some other guests that are pretty cool. So don't be surprised if we have a surprise episode or something like that in between the normal Thursdays. All right. So Have a good one, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Have a good one.
Good night.